Hey, this is Jeffrey Suey with Coaches Training Blog, JTS Advisors, and Master Coach University. And today we are going to discuss the last stage in the three-step strategic planning process for organization. And this step is step 3, the organize step. Now, if you haven't had a chance to watch the other steps, the links to those videos will be in the description. So feel free to check those out before you watch the rest of this video. And also, before we start with step 3, let's first review what these 3 steps are. Step number 1 is called the capture step. Step number 2 is where you're going to take everything you've captured in step 1 and prioritize it. So it's going to be a prioritization process. And then finally, we have an organization step. So capture, prioritize, and then organize. Let's get into a little bit more detail about each of these steps. First, the capture step. In this step, all you're doing is finding every goal, change, and solution for this organization. And you're just capturing all of that. Step 2, prioritize. This is where you're actually taking everything, like we talked about before, that was captured in the capture step and deciding what's most important and then also what's not important as well. And third, the organize step, where you're taking the priorities and you're structuring a plan that makes sense to everyone. Part of organization is creating clarity so that your team and you can be clear on, okay, what were the priorities again? Really, really important note as well, every single step is completed in writing. Capture, prioritize, and organize. So let's go ahead and focus on, in this video, step 3, the organize step. Once you've captured all your ideas for actions and goals and determined your organization's priorities in step 2, you'll want to organize them into a final written plan that everyone can understand and follow. In the organize step, you'll create a written plan that guides your team's focus, actions, and resources towards the priorities. From a glance, this plan helps the team answer these questions about your enterprise. What are our most important goals and the deadlines for those goals? What do we need to focus on? What actions do we need to constantly take and when? And who is responsible for each goal, each focus, and each action? So why do you need to do this? Why do you need to organize? This will help get the team on the same page. If the plan isn't organized, some team members may understand it, but everyone can quickly understand a plan when simplified and organized. To align the resources, people, emotions, and focus of the organization, the plans meant to influence those forces must be organized. Confidence shows up in the team when the team understands how each item fits together to achieve the big picture accomplishments. And finally, ownership shows up in the team when each team member understands how their role contributes to achieving these big picture accomplishments as well. So how do you do it? How do you organize? Well, in this process, you'll create a master strategic plan document. This plan will be shared by the entire team. The organization uses this plan to stay on track with the execution of the actions, goals, and priorities resolved from step 2. This plan will also help to review the year during the next strategic planning retreat. So an organization that has this plan, the following year, they can actually use this same plan as a post-mortem document. They can take a look at what happened, what worked, what didn't work, what they got done, and what they didn't get done. And it actually helps to inform on their next capture. Anything that didn't get done in the plan could be dumped into the capture for the following year. Anything that really worked from that plan, chances are the team is going to want to really capture those victories and take them to the next level. So there might be some ideas or brainstorms that come from the really positive things that occurred. Anything that didn't work is going to inform on what needs to be captured to correct those issues, or a different version of those activities such that they can succeed in the following year where they failed before. So here are the actual steps to go through in step 3 in the organization step. Step 1, grab your capture document. Now, this document was also marked up in step 2 for the prioritizing of those captured items. So we've circled our big, hairy, audacious goals. We've crossed out any fantasies. We've highlighted anything that's a should. We've got a lot of clarity as to what the priorities are from our capture document. Next, you're going to extract the organization's top goals. Usually there's only going to be a few of these. 2 to 5 is generally what I would recommend for small organizations, maximum. And these are likely going to be the items that you circled in the prioritize step. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your master strategic plan, you're going to grab those big, hairy, audacious goals, and you're going to put them right at the top of that plan. Just drag them right in there. That's it. That's all you got to do in step 1. Step 2, you're going to determine the organization's areas of focus. Now look, this is a complete training in and of itself. Devising the areas of focus within just an individual's life is challenging. Finding out and figuring out the areas of focus for an organization is even more of a sophisticated process, but I'm going to give you the basics here so you could at least get started with it. So ask these questions. You want to answer them by listing areas of focus. What are the areas that require improvement and focus? Where does the team already spend important time, money, and resources? You want to just list those areas. Those are areas of focus. And then you're going to want to eliminate any areas that are no longer important. Anything that's, it's like where you're already spending time there, but it's really just because you've done it for so long and it's not really that important anymore. You can go ahead and get rid of those from that area of focus list. Also, you could combine areas that should be assimilated. A lot of times there are 2 areas that are very similar or 2 areas that don't need separate focus, and to simplify, they could be combined together for that particular year. You can go ahead and do that for simplification purposes, if nothing else. And finally, then you want to add areas of focus that deserve their own area, or separate areas of focus. Like if there's a area of focus called sales and marketing, you want to separate sales from marketing, depending on what the goals are and what focus is necessitated for that particular year in that enterprise. Again, there's way more to cover around working out areas of focus than what we just talked about in the last minute. But hopefully you get the idea that we're trying to figure out what are the major areas that this organization needs to focus on constantly, consistently, in order to succeed in the short and long term. Once you've determined those areas of focus, you're going to go ahead and just list those in a section that will be located under the top goals, and you're in good shape. And you can see here, these areas of focus maybe aren't completely dissimilar from different departments or divisions in an organization: marketing, sales, financial management, administration, brand building. It's not exactly the same, because usually divisions and departments are very classically divided up. They're divided up in a way that's actually very similar across almost all organizations. Whereas areas of focus are not as much about the type of people that work in a particular department as much as it is about areas that many different departments or divisions may need to focus on even simultaneously in order for that organization at that point in time to succeed, grow, and prosper to the next level, to make progress. So don't get caught up in the idea that areas of focus are just divisions in an organization, because they're much more liquid than that. They're much more mercurial. They can change from year to year, whereas divisions and departments generally stay static over decades, if not forever. Now, once you've covered areas of focus and that's in your strategic plan, you'll move on to step 3. Organize all the remaining goals underneath an area of focus. So you'll have these top goals, BHAG goals, these big, hairy, audacious goals, and those are going to be right at the top of your document. But then you're going to have sections of your master strategic plan, and each of those sections are going to reflect one of these areas of focus. And underneath each of those areas of focus, you're going to put a number of whatever the remaining goals are from your capture document. So once again, just organize all remaining goals underneath an area of focus, likely the items you highlighted in the prioritize step. So all you do is you get a new page, you list your areas of focus. You're going to have a list of goals under each of those areas of focus. Might be one goal, might be 20 goals. Just depends on how many strategic goals are actually located under or categorized under that area of focus for the year. And then you just drag those goals right underneath the goals section in that area of focus. Next, step 4, list any consistent actions beneath an area of focus, where they would belong. Now, what I mean by consistent actions, just so I'm clear, this means ongoing activity regardless of any goal achievement. Sometimes you'll have actions that only or solely support the achievement of a goal. And once that goal is achieved, no need to take that action anymore. But there are some actions that you're going to take throughout the year or even for the foreseeable future, regardless of how many goals in that particular area of focus are achieved. They're not only associated with the achievement of a goal. They're just actions that you do and you do and you do. I'll give you an example. For instance, if there's an organization and they market online, they might have all sorts of traffic goals and conversion goals and customer service goals and branding goals, but they have a blog and they always post an article on that blog every week or every day, something like that. And regardless of how many customers they have, regardless of the brand equity that they build, regardless of the revenue that they achieve or the new programs that they create, they're going to be publishing articles to that blog till kingdom come. I know this personally. I mean, I have a blog that I've been publishing on for almost a decade now. We've got thousands of articles, and I don't care how big my organization gets, I'm going to continue to add to that blog. And there's plenty of consistent actions like that may need to be added underneath an associated area of focus. Now, couple notes on this. Don't include actions already optimized and happening at the right frequency. If there's something that's already being done, you don't need to add it to the areas of focus. It'll just clutter things up. These are actions that just don't require added reminders or added accountability. So no need to have them in this year's strategic master plan. So no need to have them included in this year's master strategic plan. However, do include actions that don't happen or aren't frequent enough yet. Actions that require added reminders or accountability. So for instance, every night and every morning I brush my teeth. If I have a life plan with my areas of focus on it, I don't need to have brush your teeth under health, right? It's really, come on, I don't need that at this point in my life. But, if I was like 6.5 and I was just learning to do that by myself, I might need that under that area of focus. Not that a 6-year-old will have an area of focus, but you get the idea. So again, there's going to be some actions that may have been listed in this capture document. You drag them over to actions that are associated with a particular area of focus. It's going to be within that list. So under each area of focus, you're going to have a list of goals and you're going to have a list of consistent actions. And remember, these actions are not connected with the goals, and these goals are not necessarily connected with those actions. There might be a whole nother set of action items or an action plan that will actually support the achievement of the goals in the goal list. The actions in the action list, they may not even contribute to those goals, which is totally fine as long as they contribute to that area of focus and they seem to belong in that area. That's good enough for this step. Next, step 5. Assign each goal, action, and area of focus to one owner. This is important. You want to put an owner under each and every item here. Goals, areas of focus, actions, etc. Unless there's one specific owner of each of these, then no one's really accountable for completing them. I'm working with an organization right now. We're about to do their strategic retreat for the year. And we did this last year where they assigned accountabilities, like who's managing each one of those things. And you know what? There's going to be some accountability around this when we do the postmortem for the year. We're going to take a look and see, okay, who owned each of those actions, each of those goals, each of those areas of focus, and how did that goal go? Did it get done? Did it get achieved? How did that action go? Was it actually executed? Was it implemented? What about that area of focus? Is that area of focus really a lot better off than it was last year or not? And guess what? We know who's responsible for that if it went well, and we know who's responsible for that if it didn't go well. And that's really going to have a tremendous amount of accountability, not just for when we come back and get together, take responsibility for things, but also for the next time as well. So when they take on that ownership of that goal or that particular area of focus, they know what that means at this point. It's a long-term sense of accountability that a lot of times teams never seem to have, even if they're hard workers. Finally, step 6. You're going to generate any horizontal plans or timelines based upon the content of the vertical plan that you created. These may include monthly goal calendars, project plans, daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly action lists, all sorts of different ways that you can organize, like what to do today, tomorrow, the next day, etc. That's the thing about an areas of focus plan or a strategic master plan. They don't lay out a timeline per se. They lay out categories and areas and goals and strategies and approaches. So it's organized in a way that's logical, but it's not horizontal. It's not like a timeline, so to speak. So you need to create those a lot of times in order to make sure this stuff gets implemented over time as well. So let's talk about what to organize. So look, everything left in your capture after the prioritization step should be included in your organized master strategic plan. The fantasies, those priority 3 items, they've already been eliminated and should not be included in your finalized master strategic plan. So that's it. That's the organized step. If you complete this step, you will have a document that'll serve you, your team, your managers, and anybody who has a stake in the success of this organization over the next year or maybe even more than that, plus an accountability document that can be used in monthly management meetings, executive team meetings, that managers can utilize to motivate their sales forces, their teams as well, and ultimately a sense of clarity about not just what's going to happen, but how are you going to get there, who's responsible for it, and then how does it all fit together as well. And then ultimately knowing that next time we come back and actually go over this plan, there's going to be an accountability that you really owned that area or that goal or that action, and you want to make sure that you delivered on it because you're going to be reporting on how well that went or how badly it went to the executive team or to your manager or your boss or whoever it is that you're working with in that enterprise and for that endeavor. So once again, this is Jeffrey T. Suey with JTS Advisors, Master Coach University, and CoachesTrainingBlog.com. And that concludes the 3-step strategic planning for organizations process. We finally finished step 3, the organized step. Once again, if you missed any of these videos, I've got links to them down below in the description. We'll also try to link to them in the end card here if you're watching this on YouTube. And finally, feel free to go to CoachesTrainingBlog.com because there we will have this entire process noted out in a crib sheet that you can utilize with your team as well. So just get in touch with us. We'll make sure we send that to you and you can get started with this immediately to make a difference for you, your organization, and everyone that it touches as well. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.